Updating a user with ArangoDB and PHP is quite simple. In the previous videos, I show you how to set up, create and read. In this one, obviously, we're going to update. So let's get started. Let's go to VS Code right away. It was from the previous file. Let's create a new file. Let's call it update user.php. Right away, the PHP tags. And I am going to echo X. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to go to Postman and I want to point to localhost /update user.php. And this is missing the L, localhost. Now I'm connected to, I'm testing the API for the update user. Check. Let's go ahead. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to connect to the database. So we're going to require once, and we are going to point to this directory. And then we're going to point to the arangodb.php file. Save it. Right away test it. No errors. I continue. This is how you should code professionally. Do not code a lot of lines at once. Now, in order to use and to run an Arango statement, we need the Arango statement use keyword. You can go from any of the previous files on the original file, the ArangoDB, and find the line that says Arango statement. Copy it and paste it. Save and Postman test it. All right, so now that we have done that, we are going to do a try catch. And we are going to try to get an exception as EX. If something goes wrong, we pass the exception to the client. Now, this is in development mode. In production mode, you will never pass the exception to the client. So now that we have done that, we are going to check and get the user ID from get. And this will be the ID of the user. And then I will just echo the user ID. Let's go to Postman and let's pass the ID. Question mark, that's the first variable. The ID will be 987. I know that exists. So this is the ID, but also we need to pass the name, the new name that we want to update it with. If I show you the database at the moment, let me just show you. Where is it? Here. You can see that I have in 987 the name is B. So I want to change B to, let's say, the letter X. To do that, I need to pass the X via post. This is going to be the body. Actually, I'm going to do a get, passing the ID via get. But in reality, what I want to do is I want to post the data. I will have to do post. In post, I will pass the ID via the URL. That's via the get. But in post, I can also go to the body. I can go to from data. And then in here, I can pass the new name. So the name, this will be the new name, will be the letter X. That's what I'm trying to do. You can call this new name if that makes more sense for you. New name. New name. But I don't want to call it like that. I will just call it name. So I send the request. Now you can see 987, but we don't see the name. Let's go to VS Code and let's get the name out. So that was for the user ID. I'm going to say that the username is going to be whatever I get from post the name. And then I will just echo username as well. Now you can see I have the X and then I have the ID. So once we have done that, we're going to create an Arango statement. But I need to tell you that when you do an update in Arango, it actually expects that you pass what you want to update. So I want to update the name A. So that's for you to understand it, right? Since this is a JSON object that I want to update it with the original object, I'm going to do a full update. I can just create this username and I can create this name for the user as an associative array. So I will do that. I will just create the user and then I will create the key called name, and this will be the post name. You will understand this in a second when I move forward to the statement. Let's create the statement. The statement equals a new Arango statement. Copy and paste. It's a function. Takes a couple of arguments. The first one is the connection to the database, which is the ArangoDB variable that actually came from, show you the file. It came from here, from the ArangoDB variable. So we're connected to the database, comma. The second argument is the query. It's an associative array. So we set here the query. And inside the query, we're going to execute the update command. It says update. And then you want to update, let's say 987. This will look like this, by the way. With, and then you're going to pass the new object that you want to update it with. Name is the letter X. I'm just hard coding this for now in the collection called users. So this is the command. This is how the command looks like. Update 987 with this object inside users. And I'm just going to run this. Why not? Just like so. So I will just do the cursor equals the statement execute. Execute. Yes. Save it. And I will just echo the letter X. And now we're going to test it with Postman. So we see the letter X. Let's check the database. We see B there. Now, in order to refresh this, the best way that I have found out is just click there and go back, and hopefully it works. Now you can see I have the letter X there. I will just delete this because I don't want to be scrolling again and again and again. These are the tests from before. So now you see how I change it to X. If I do the exact same command, and now say I want to change it to B again, save it, go to Postman, run it, and now I'll just go to the website again. You can see the letter B there. So now we know that this is the ID that we want to update. That's the key. That is coming from the user ID. I could also have called this user key if I wanted, but I want to call it ID for now. So this here is going to be a variable because I can update any user. So I want to call this variable key. That's the name I want to give to it. You can call it key whatever you want. And since this is a variable, I put an @ sign in front of it. And this with, you can say I want to change the name to B. This will be the key name, that will be the B. So this is coming from this user variable. This user name actually is like doing this name, and then the name that I pass via Postman, in this case could be the letter X, for example. And this is an associative array, which is the exact same thing as this JSON object. So what I will do now is I will just create a variable that I will call just @user. You can call this has to be there, and this variable you can call it whatever you want. Now we need to bind the variables. So we say bind vars, and we're going to bind them. This is again an associative array. So here we bind it. I will just do it in this way now. I want to bind the is the variable, so that will be the key. Copy the key, and the key is the user ID. So we just do user ID there. And then I do again the same thing, so you see it happening. This @user, that's the variable. I select user, paste it, and what I want to replace it with is the user, which is that variable. Then I execute, and once it's executed, I can just respond back and say, well, everything was updated successfully. Let's do this with an HTTP response code. Now let's keep it simple because I have done that in the previous tutorials for this Arango video. We will just say user updated. with ID, and then in here I will pass the ID, the user ID, just like that. Save it. Let's test it with Postman. The user was updated 987, hopefully with the letter X. Let's go to the website. Let's check it. We have the letter X. I go to Postman. Now I will say that this will be the letter AAA, letters AAA. We have the AAAs in there. So this is how we do the update with ArangoDB. In the next video, I will show you how we delete. So hopefully you like what you are seeing and hopefully you are learning a lot. Please go ahead and subscribe because I have a lot of things that I will show you during the ArangoDB course. This is just the introduction to